What's up, golfers? This is the Pace of Change.
It's about family, it's about fitness, it's about fun, and it's about fast.
It's about changing perceptions about the sport of golf. Golf is a fitness sport.
Recreation, community, engaging with all age groups.
It's something I've never ever thought of playing, but I actually really think it would be fun.
I had to wait 25 minutes on that tee box. The fact that I'm not doing anything about this is the reason that it persists.
It is undeniably different.
Welcome back, golfers, to episode 38 of the Pace of Change Golf Podcast. Here we go. We're going to be talking about the rankings today. We're breaking it down for you, player by player. And we're going to do this in 3 separate mini-pods. Keep them under 15 minutes apiece. We'll split them up 5 players apiece. So we're going to get started today with the men's rankings 11 through 15. That's what you're about to hear. So again, we're going to give you player by player analysis. We're going to talk about their past results and also how we think they're going to perform in the future. And in the future means next week at the Speedgolf World Championship for many of them. So let's get right into it without further ado. Thank you for listening to the Pace of Change Golf Podcast.
Number 15 is this year's New Zealand Speedgolf Open champion, Richard Olson. Richard, in that event, defeated the immortal Rob Hogan, who made the trip down there to New Zealand. He also defeated last year's New Zealand Speedgolf Open champion, Landon Edwards. I expect we'll see all of them in action at Speedgolf Worlds in a couple weeks. You know, Richard's ranking is itself interesting, and it's raising some points that came up amongst us offline about how many tournaments, how many rounds should you have to be eligible for the ranking. I think Richard only had 2 official ones. I think at that New Zealand Open they have like a qualifying round, like in auto racing to seed them or something like that. They didn't count that officially, but. So Richard's only got two rounds in there, but anytime you defeat Rob Hogan, that's certainly something that deserves respect. And wouldn't be surprised to see Richard outplay his ranking in a couple weeks.
Yeah, that was something I was noting too. I mean, his scoring average is 117, which is, it's clearly world class if he can sustain that. So I would agree if he can turn in a outstanding performance in 2 weeks, he can move up significantly from 15. And it may be that he only made it to 15 this time because people just aren't familiar with his name.
I agree. I think being at the World Championship does give you another level of recognition. And it's kind of like that head-to-head stat, You're playing against the best in the world. So to perform in that situation, congrats, Richard, man. You play well in a couple weeks, you're moving up that list.
Number 14.
Steve Vancil from the United States. He also has 2 rounds, and his scoring average is a little bit higher than Richard's at 131, but right in the ballpark for the others in the 10 to 15 spot besides Richard.
So I think Steve actually has 4 rounds or 3 rounds since he played two tournaments with 3 rounds. Since he played 2 at the World Championships last year, and then 1 at the weather shortened event in 2014. But yeah, Steve is finished 7th last year at quietly finished 7th.
He did,
at Worlds last year, 11th, which is knocking on the door at top 10. In 2014, and I believe he actually won, 2015, 2014, an unofficial event, the Salem, Oregon Speedgolf Open. I think he beat Matt Dillon, who at the time was a a stud in the golf world. It wasn't an official event, but I believe he's turned in some other good performances like that.
Yeah, I mean, again, congrats, Steve. He's a part of the Speed Golf family. I mean, he flies around and is passionate about the game. We're only showing 2, rounds, really 3 rounds, like you said, 2 events on here. But he's played much more than that. And like you said, he's just kind of quiet, and he sneaks right in there, and he always shoots a pretty solid score. And every once in a while, he kind of breaks out, and just like all of us, he also has those other rounds as well. So, Steve, you're in at 14, man. Congrats.
Number 13.
All right, so number 13, we have Mark Stockamp, also the United States of America. So Mark, he's been in the speed golf world pretty much from the beginning of the modern tour. Played a couple tournaments in 2013. I think he might have played Worlds also, but as an amateur back then. But his highlight finish was 5th place at the 2014 Worlds, shooting 124 in a few seconds, which was only about 2.5, a little more than 2.5 minutes outside the winning Eric Crum's winning score of 122. So, a couple putts go another way, and Mark Stockamp could have been holding the trophy for the 2014 World Championship, but he came back and had a 12th place finish, very respectable last year, and expect him to be in the hunt in a couple weeks in Chicago.
It's great to see Mark on there, and I think he's only going to move up that list as well. But it's so inspirational to watch him. I remember in 2014, the first round got rained out, and he had a horrendous day.
I have to say, calling that first day of 2014 rained out was
sorry.
A slight understatement. There was 90-mile-an-hour winds.
Right.
I think that literally the worst golf day of his life. And, any one of us would have just been so discouraged. But, man, he kept a smile on his face. And then he came out the next day at Bandon and ended up shooting something like, did you already say it, 74 or?
75 or 76 in high 40s.
Yeah, I mean, just an incredible round. So he deserves to be on this list. Way to go, Mark.
Number 12.
12 is Jordan Zwick, and I believe he only had 1 round counted, which was last year's Speedgolf World Championships, where he actually played, if I recall correctly, he played really well the first day, which was also very windy. Nothing like 2014, but the wind was giving people fits. That was
definitely stronger day one.
Yeah, that was the day that the amateurs played when I played, and it was really tough out there. And I believe he shot 78.
So yeah, as you said, his only scoring was from last year's World Championships, which was not only fairly impressive as you guys just mentioned, but also placed in 4th overall. So. Not too far out of, second place. I think Rob pretty well distanced himself, but it was his first official speed golf event, and he's one of the better players and also one of the better runners. I think he played both NCAA Division I golf and ran the track across country, so he's got the chops to get it done on both sides. And from a ranking perspective, he's. I don't think anyone would be surprised to see him, back in that top 5 again. But from a ranking perspective, it makes for an interesting question because if you were to just rate him as a good player, you might rate him a lot higher. But it's harder to rank him much higher based on the totality of the body of work with only 1 tournament in there.
That's what's exciting to me is to look at the bottom of this list and go, all these guys are moving up. I mean, they're trending upward. And so when you look at the guys at the top of the list, you got to think,
they're coming for you.
That's right.
Number 11.
Number 11 is Nick Willis, Olympic medalist.
Way to
Nick
go,
Willis.
Nick.
So Nick is definitely one of the most well-known names in our sport, and has probably done as much as anyone, if not more than anyone, to bring attention to the sport. Finished 10th at the Speedgolf World Championships last year. Finished 13th in 2013, 17th in 2014. But with that 10th place finish last year, it shows that he can be as competitive as anyone out there. He's not just a guy who runs fast. He can play some decent golf. Obviously, the running is his weapon. He finished second in 2015 at the New Zealand Open. So again, a really good finish there. I think he might have actually broken 80 there. So yeah, he's obviously not just a guy who can run. He can get it around. And I think, with his running, if he gets the golf dialed in, not only is his golf going to be better, but he still has a lot of time that he can take off. He's running times that aren't that far ahead of some other speed golfers who are just much better golfers. So he's running usually like low 40s, 41, 43. So if he's playing, let's say, 1 or 2 over par type of golf, he could run, 36, 37, wouldn't be out of the question.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. Speaking as one of those golfers who is more along the lines of Nick Willis, I've noticed in my own personal rounds, there's a wide variation. I play the same course over and over with the GPS watch. There's wide variations in how far I run. So, if to that point, if Nick could get the golf game dialed in and run the same distance that Scott Dawley's running or that Rob Hogan's running, I totally agree. He could turn in super low times, and the golf's going to be better too if you're hitting it like that.
Right. It's just scary to think that Nick Willis could take 6-7 minutes off a run time, but it's not. Yeah,
it's
like
not
I said, if he was playing Scott Dawley's ball or Rob Hogan's ball, he'd probably run 36, 37 minutes on a legit course.
The other thing is, he finds himself 11th on the Speed Golf Power Rankings, and that's while he's training for the Olympics, the last several years. It's just amazing. So it's not like he's been paying a lot of attention to his golf game. I know that prior to the event, he really does spend at least a couple of days and maybe even a couple of weeks. He doesn't want to come here and he doesn't want to go to the World Championships and not take advantage of it. So I know he works hard the last couple of weeks, but imagine when he's able to really put some more, if he wants to, some more effort into this. He's another climber, for sure. All right, everybody, episode 38 in the books. This is our 2016 Speed Golf Power Rankings player-by-player breakdown for you. How'd you like that? We've got some serious talent, even in the men's rankings 11 through 15. Now, up next, we're going to do our second mini-pod for the men's rankings 6 through 10. So make sure you check that out. We got even more talent towards the top. As always, thank you for listening. Thanks for subscribing, liking, and sharing the Pace of Change Golf Podcast.